Hello everyone, welcome to Series 4 of the GBA Lightbulb Sessions. The Great British Entrepreneur Awards, in association with BT Skills for Tomorrow, have designed a free live stream series of Lightbulb Sessions that support small businesses and entrepreneurs with insightful and advice-driven sessions, featuring some of the UK's brilliant entrepreneurial minds to illuminate your path to entrepreneurial success. You can find out more about BT Skills for Tomorrow by heading to their website at www.bt.com/skills for tomorrow or by clicking on the link in the comments section. In today's session, GBA Head of Content Jonathan Davis will sit down with Lauren Crane, Senior Digital Marketing Manager of Astrid & Mayu, and Ali Francis, Social Media Manager at Snagtights. Lauren and Ali will discuss how TikTok can enhance engagement with existing customers and attract a new audience for your business. There is an opportunity to ask questions during the session. If you have a question you'd like to ask, you can pop this in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer these towards the end of the session. Please note there will be a poll at the end of today's session, and all answers will be anonymous. And with that, I'll pass over to our host today, Jonathan Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Chloe. Ali and Lauren, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know Chloe gave a very, very brief introduction to your roles and the business names, but it'd be great to learn a little bit more about yourselves and particularly what the businesses does. So Ali, I'll come to you first, please.
Sure. Hi. Well, thank you for having me. So I work at Snag, and we sell size inclusive fashion. We believe that clothes shouldn't be split, and we don't think that you should have some clothes available in some sizes and other clothes available in other sizes. We believe that all clothes should be available in all sizes. So we started out originally doing tights around 3 years ago, and the whole concept or reason why we started is because our CEO and founder was walking down the street in Edinburgh and her tights were falling down, and she literally had to take them off while she was walking because they were literally around her knees. And she ended up asking some of her friends, and she did a survey, and she found that actually that's quite a common problem. A lot of people don't have tights that fit them. So hence why Snag Tights was created. And this year we have expanded into clothes. So we are now Snag, and we sell size inclusive clothes.
Excellent, thank you very much. And Lauren, introduction to yourself and the business, please.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Lauren. I'm Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Astrid & Mayu. So I'm responsible for performance marketing activity for the business, and I'm also currently overseeing the social and content team as well. So Astrid & Mayu is a female-founded jewellery business with a mission to revolutionise the jewellery experience. So we do this by allowing our customers to express themselves with our unique and sentimental pieces, create memorable experiences both in-store and online. And we also centre our brand around inclusivity and empowering our community online.
Brilliant, thank you very much. That's excellent. So obviously we're here today to be talking about TikTok and how brands and businesses can take advantage. So to start us off, Lauren, I wonder if I could come to you first. I think it would be fair to say that a lot of the kind of media description, shall we say, of the platform, particularly maybe a year ago, 2 years ago or so, was that it was kids doing dances. That's obviously very different. How would you describe the type of content found on TikTok?
So I think the type of content is authentic, and we can kind of let our customers and community in on kind of behind the scenes stuff that happens within the brand, but also just showing that we're people. And I think as a brand and a business, it's really important to talk to your customers or your target audience and potential customers as a friend or, a peer. And I think kind of build their trust that way. So I think, yeah, the key word for me for TikTok content is authenticity. Okay,
excellent. Is that the same for you, Ali? How do you view it?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to remember with TikTok is that it's primarily an entertainment platform, which is where it differs slightly from Instagram and Facebook. You're still engaging with your followers, but primarily you're actually reaching new people. So it's more about how entertaining the content is than like the usual social media content that you would see on like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, excellent. And so Ali, with Snag, how did the brand get started on TikTok? How recently have you been on there? What type of content are you producing? I know obviously you mentioned entertainment is the big thing.
Yeah, sure. So my background's actually in content creation. So I have a personal TikTok account with my twin sister with 780,000 followers. And I was brought on to basically join Snag to help them develop their TikTok account, because I think it's really important that businesses on TikTok have like a creator mindset, because you want to have your content fitting in with the rest of the landscape. And I think that's something like Ryanair, for example, do fantastically well because it's very clearly run by creators, which I suppose it kind of links on to what Lauren was saying about making really authentic content and really trying to basically get down with the kids, fitting in with the rest of the content. So yeah, I joined Snag in October as their video content manager to help develop their TikTok account. And it was really important that for me that we basically recreated trends with our products, because that was kind of like a really good starting point for us. So we basically picked a trend and featured the product in it, or featured kind of like our brand messaging. So about fashion industry, size inclusive issues around that, which is kind of like our starting point for a lot of our videos.
Okay, excellent. And Lauren, what about Astrid Mew? How long has the brand been on there? What type of content are you producing?
Yeah, so social media really is at the heart of all of our marketing activity. So I think it was one of our very first marketing channels we saw success on back in 2012. So we believe this is because our audience naturally spends a lot of time on social media. So yeah, allows us to reach and speak to them in an organic way, as mentioned earlier. So due to this success on other platforms, we're always wanting to try new social platforms and try and replicate this success elsewhere. So we launched on TikTok, I think just over a year ago now, and it's just very much a test and learn approach. So the team, similar to what Ali was saying, the team were very much monitoring the trends, looking at what's happening, and then putting an Astrid and Miu spin on the trends. So keeping the content fun and lighthearted, true to the platform, but also aligning it with the brand as well. And I think that's the balance you've got to find as a business on TikTok.
Okay, and so it sounds as though it's particularly with TikTok then compared to perhaps some of the other platforms, that it's a case of listening and taking in what's already out there rather than saying, look, this is our business, these are our goals, we're going to put stuff out based on that. So it's a case of kind of looking outward rather than taking what's in outward. What, Lauren, I'll come to you first on this. I know we've mentioned authenticity already. What would you say are the kind of key components of a great brand TikTok?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think Ali's mentioned this already, but just having that creator mindset. So we also have a team that's dedicated to TikTok, and they have their own personal accounts that are really strong. And I think just, I mentioned authenticity, but yeah, just that, I can't think of the word, the opposite of polished. You don't want glossy content. You don't want to take your TV ad or your YouTube ad, make it portrait and put it on TikTok and post that it's not going to work. TikTok users are on TikTok for fun, lighthearted content in their spare time. They might be on the tube, they might be chilling out on the sofa, just having a scroll through. If they see an ad like that, they're likely just to scroll straight past it, similar to how we all do these days when it's the adverts come on TV. We either fast forward through them, or we get up and go and do something else until it's over. And I think if a brand can, I know I mentioned it earlier, sorry to be repetitive, but if we can be like one of their friends, they're more likely to watch it because it's engaging and we're sharing something that is interesting to them. And I think that's really important, not just on TikTok, actually, across all marketing and social channels, is giving the audience something they actually want to watch rather than just here's a necklace and I think you should buy it. Style ads.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali, anything to add there on the key components?
Yeah, I think just building on that, I think TikTok's one of the most important platforms to not cross-post, because the content has to be directly native to what else is on there. I think you can kind of get away with it a little bit on Instagram and Facebook, just because audience are kind of expecting to see similar content. But on TikTok, TikTok in 2020 and 2021 is one of the most downloaded apps. And we can kind of talk about it a little bit more later on, but I think that it's although you're reaching lots of new audiences, it's also about following where your audience is going. And it almost, I think people are spending actually more time on TikTok than they are on Instagram and other social media platforms. So it's really important that when you're looking at TikTok, it's being taken really seriously, but you're still making really fun content, and you're focusing down on making sure that your content fits in congruously with the other content that's on there.
Okay, excellent. And so you mentioned there about not cross-posting across the different platforms. So how does your strategy differ from from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to TikTok? Ali, I'll come to you first on that.
That's actually really interesting, because I was going to talk a little bit about how the work we do on TikTok has actually influenced the rest of our video, like kind of creative strategy. So we have a separate team that do acquisition, so they kind of set up all of the campaigns, but I work closely with them to do the creative elements for it. So, and the way that we've looked at doing TikToks has definitely influenced the way that we do our other video ads as well. And it doesn't necessarily mean doing a trend, it just means using the kind of the quick, snappy videos where you're keeping the retention rate. In the first couple of seconds, you're giving them a hook, and then you're giving them the punchline kind of at the end or in the middle, so that you've got that watch time that gets kept up as well. So yes, I don't think that cross-posting across Instagram and Facebook to TikTok is a good idea, but I think that posting TikTok on Instagram and Facebook is very successful, because people just generally, those style videos are kind of like the future, I think, for video marketing, because that's the people are having a short and shorter attention time, and they want to see short form videos in a vertical format that give them everything they need in 15 seconds.
That's really interesting. Lauren, is that something that you've seen where TikTok is actually influencing what you're doing on other platforms?
Yeah, totally agree with Ali. One of our top performing ads on Instagram at the moment is actually a TikTok post that we've repurposed for Instagram. And yeah, just touching on Ali, what you just mentioned there as well, like, I think we are now advertising to a generation that have grown up with social media. So they're actually just really savvy. They don't want to be sold, like direct sold and pushed to something. I think maybe 10 years ago, when ads were new to social, we could probably get away with something a bit more direct response, a bit more obvious. But I think now, yeah, like you mentioned, it needs to just be lighthearted, quick and snappy. And then your brand is more likely to be remembered that way, rather than it being longer or more like an ad.
Actually, going on from that, one of the most successful videos that we had, it's very interesting, because we actually we worked with a creator called Lucas Arnold, and he's a comedian. He's on TikTok and Instagram. He's got like 2 million followers on TikTok. He's very, very successful. And he does skits about how, kind of imagining how the clothing industry was made. So you have to bear with me while I try and explain it. Basically, there's a character called Jenkins, and he'll kind of like come to Lucas and be like, got a great idea, let's make plus size clothing really unflattering, let's make it really expensive, and like, brilliant, this is brilliant. Then it's going to institutionalize fat phobia, and he's so sharp on these issues in the fashion industry. And we noticed that, and I actually reached out to him. We worked on a sponsored video for his account, where it's basically like Jenkins discovers snag, and he's like, we've hit a snag, they're making clothes that fit, they're making clothes that are flattering, the sizing's consistent, what are we going to do? Because they basically ruined all of our plans to make clothing really difficult. And all of the comments on that were just phenomenal. And they were saying that it doesn't feel like an ad, but they know they're being sold to, but it's in a way that they enjoy being sold to, because it's relevant to the content that Lucas has normally been making. And we actually used that on as a TikTok ad, and it performed amazingly. So I think, especially with TikTok, making ads that fit in with the rest of the content is really successful.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Something that I was thinking about, you mentioned there about not wanting to be sold to like you do on other platforms. Do you think that there's a risk with TikTok that effectively the same thing that we have seen on other platforms, that it starts to get used in different ways, and then businesses realize the potential, start using it for that purpose, and it kind of loses its touch? Do you think that there's a risk that will happen with TikTok, or do you think the kind of foundations of it, like you've said, the authenticity behind it will kind of protect it, shield it from that?
That's a really difficult question, because there is so much opportunity, and it's inevitable that brands are going to start advertising more and more. But I think actually working closely with the TikTok team at the platform, they are very focused on making sure that the advertisers and the brands that are on the platform are kind of very aligned with TikTok and everything that we've just been talking about. So I personally, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever logged on to TikTok and seen an ad that I thought, this doesn't really fit that well. I think maybe the reason why it's there's not a lot of brands on there at the moment is actually because they recognize that they have to create fit for TikTok content, and they maybe don't have the resource towards that, and that type of thing. So I think it's inevitable there'll be more brands on there, and we'll log on and we'll see a lot more ads, but whether those ads become really obvious is, who knows.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that, like you say, it's inevitable more brands are going to be on there, but I think you can still stand out by making sure that your content is really authentic. And as long as you kind of carry on down that road, then you're still going to be successful on there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so in terms of, we've touched on a little bit of the type of content that both businesses are putting out on TikTok. So in terms of the, kind of the metrics, what has the impact been for the business? Ali, I'll come to you first on that. Yeah,
sure. So like I said earlier, it's influenced our creative strategy a lot, and how we look at creating videos. And in terms of the ad side of things, like I say, I don't actually run the campaigns on them, but I know that we do see an impact when the ads are turned off. And we focus more on brand awareness anyway for TikTok, because we're trying to reach the millions of people. But it's more about the way that it's shaped our strategy. And we use Instagram and Facebook ads, and the videos that we create, we cross-purpose from TikTok to those platforms, always succeed and always do really well.
Brilliant. And Lauren, what's the impact been like for Astrid Mio?
Yeah, so impactful. So talking about organic TikTok now, so some of our top performing pieces of TikTok content feature our stores and our store services. So that's, we have piercing, bracelet welding and tattoos. And we found that not only do these go viral when we post them, but TikTok users and creators are coming into our stores and they're creating their own TikToks about getting a tattoo and getting the welded bracelets. And then off the back of this, these then go viral, and it's honestly crazy. So then what happens is we've seen that when we release our, say, welded bracelet appointments for the following month, they all get booked up as soon as they're released now. And, that's as a direct correlation to this hype on TikTok. And yeah, so I think we've discussed it already, but what's really interesting about TikTok, both paid and organic, is just the more playful, stripped back content. It's just, working really well. And like we've already mentioned, pushing that across other channels. But in terms of paid advertising, we're also using it as a brand awareness tool. So it's not driving direct sales for us, but CPC, like cost per clicks, are really low, and CPMs are 80% lower than on Facebook and Instagram. So it means we can reach people for a lot cheaper, and we're driving higher volumes of traffic for the same cost. And then we're able to then retarget those people through Instagram ads or email if they're signed up. So it's just about engaging that audience, getting them onto site, teaching them about our brand in a fun and playful way.
Excellent, and that was going to be one of my next questions there. You mentioned there, Lauren, the kind of the cost effectiveness and the difference between other platforms. Ali, what's been your experience with that?
So I think it's actually really interesting. The skincare by Hiram, the whole, I think it's 2020, that whole crazy CeraVe skincare hype that went on, and then literally every shop ever sold out of CeraVe because it was just this viral trend on TikTok. I think it's actually interesting. I'm going to speak less from a paid ad side of things, just because I don't look at the exact numbers for that. But I think that the way that the nature of viral content works, although it's technically brand awareness and there's no click through to a website, and Hiram wasn't having a click through link, the fact that it was viral and the fact that you do just know of something is going to naturally massively increase sales without you actually being able to track those sales necessarily. But it's the fact that it's the viral nature of it that means that everybody knows about it and everybody wants it. And then when you see that it's sold out, then you're like, really need to get it because everyone else has got it. So that's what I think is really interesting about TikTok, is the viral nature of it.
Interesting. And so in terms of the actual creation of the content, is it a case of, because as you've mentioned so far, that it is a little bit certainly less polished, a little bit more raw? Is it a case of the actual content planning and creation takes up less of your time as marketers than it does for other platforms?
For us, it takes a little bit longer just because we are a remote company, and our warehouse is up in Scotland, and I'm based down in London. So any content that we have to film, usually unless it's at a shoot, it's usually kind of done through writing briefs. And then one of our content creators will go away and do that. So I think it takes a little bit longer than just being able to film, caption it and post, because TikTok doesn't have the centralized draft folder. You have to film it on the phone you're going to post on, or you can obviously import it in, but if you're going to use the features and stuff, you need to film it on the account. So that does take a little bit more time. But I think that once you've got someone who really understands TikTok, it's a lot more of a simple process, because you don't have to walk them through, this is the record button,
Yeah, brilliant. And Lauren, is that something that you experienced with Astrid and Mia?
So yeah, we're really lucky. I've mentioned it already, but we've got an amazing social and content team and dedicated resource to TikTok. So yeah, the creativity that comes out of that team is honestly, it blows my mind. But a normal TikTok as a result can take a couple of hours. It's really not too time consuming, but yeah, preparing for other activations. So at the moment we're preparing to run TikTok live, and that takes a bit longer because it just involves that team working with other stakeholders in the business, like product and merch, to make sure that everything's aligned before we do go live. But one of the, I don't know whether this is a slightly separate point, but one of the most interesting points that we find with TikTok for us is that it's the only social media algorithm that rewards quality, not reputation. So you could literally have 2 followers and have your first video go viral. So, and that's almost impossible across all of the other platforms. So we really do try to, I think, maybe allocate 2-3 hours a week where we're just constantly monitoring the trends, as I've already mentioned, and trying to be reactive to those so that we can try and jump on these trends to potentially have those go viral. So we have allocated TikTok creation time and then a bit of ad hoc reactive time as well.
Okay, and in terms of the team and how they operate across the different platforms, I'm certainly not looking for figures, but what's the kind of split in terms of budget and time spent on TikTok versus the other platforms, and actually versus other marketing channels as a whole? Sorry, Lauren, I'll come to you on that.
Yeah. So for TikTok, we actually have one person that is dedicated to TikTok, but her role is split, and she also does photography and videography for the business as well. So it's not just 5 days a week spent on TikTok. It's kind of a bit of both. And then the rest of the team, our biggest channel is Instagram. It has been since 2012, 2013. I think whilst Instagram engagement is decreasing slightly, we are trying to diversify our channels and put a bit of more focus and more time spent on other channels. And that's the same with our paid advertising. So lion's share of our paid social budget goes on Instagram, because we know that it works, it's tried and tested, the targeting is really sophisticated. But as TikTok starts to become bigger and its ad serving platform and ad manager becomes more sophisticated, we are running ads on there as well. A very, very minimal spend, but that's kind of what we try to do with all the platforms. We try and run paid social advertising on all of the new platforms, test and learn, and then usually we find after 6 to 8 months, we've got quite a good solid learnings that we can then activate as business as usual advertising under our paid social umbrella and increase that spend.
Excellent. And Ali, I know you've mentioned that you don't manage the ads and the budget side of that. But what do you see in terms of how much time Snag is spending on TikTok versus other platforms and channels?
When I first joined, that was kind of like my sole focus, was making sure that we had lots of really strong TikTok content. And over the last year, I've kind of taken on the responsibility of doing the organic posting for our other channels, Instagram and Facebook as well. And because of our, we've got a really strong following on Instagram and on Facebook, that taking that on, that's kind of, to be able to keep that up has been like has been kind of the focus, because maintaining that's really important. So growing and building TikTok hasn't been at the forefront of like the my focus recently. But as we're looking to kind of like grow and expand like our social teams, bringing TikTok up to where Instagram is like a really big priority, and it's something that we're looking kind of like really taking another push at in the foreseeable future, to make sure that we're speaking to our existing customers, because like Lauren was saying earlier, it is one of the only platforms where you'd be able to reach, with 2 followers, reach 1 million people. So I think making sure that we're reaching new audiences with TikTok is equally as important as maintaining the followers we have on the other platforms as well. And then my time's also split with doing the creatives for the paid advertising as well. So, and then I also run the influencer campaigns that we do across Instagram and sometimes TikTok as well. So that's kind of how my time gets split. Fantastic.
And in terms of you just mentioned that I think Instagram is the biggest platform for both Snag and Astrid and Miu. Do you see that changing in the short or medium term? Do you see a future where TikTok will be your best performing platform?
I think that Instagram is really important. It's kind of the way that Facebook used to kind of be like the directory for people to kind of look up a brand. I think that Instagram's more becoming that platform. I think also because of the visual element of it, they've kind of moved from words to images and then to video, and that's kind of like the progress that we're seeing. And I think the Instagram will still be good for that, like the directory feel where you can kind of look up a brand and you can then tag them in like Instagram posts, whatever. But I think that TikTok will also be coming up next to it from an entertainment side of things, that will kind of like run simultaneously next to Instagram, just from different media and different like social or entertainment side of things.
Excellent. Lauren?
Yeah, I do agree. I do think there's going to still be a place for Instagram, but I briefly mentioned earlier, but we're really seeing reduced engagement on Instagram. I think the algorithm is always changing, and I think not only brands, but I think even myself, when I log into Instagram and I don't see like my best friends when I'm scrolling through my feed, but they posted like 2 hours ago. Like, that's frustrating for me as a user as well. And I think people are moving away from it slightly. I think I'm 31. I'm definitely not the main age demographic for TikTok, but I'll sit for like 2 hours in the night before bed scrolling through TikTok because it's hilarious and it's fun and it's lighthearted. Whereas I would have said 5 years ago, no way, like Instagram is the one. So I think, yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how it evolves. But and definitely, if you're a business just starting out, you have absolutely no social media, I would say probably do Instagram, because like you've said, it's the directory. If you don't have Instagram, it's a bit, you'd be like, oh, I wonder why they don't have Instagram. That's what I always think anyway. So I would say, like, do Instagram, tell the brand story, show the visuals. But I think for engagement and reaching new audiences, TikTok is going to be the one going forward.
I think building on from that, something that would be really good to do is for new businesses to create the Instagram account, set it up, like, and it's all ready to go. Then focus your attention on TikTok and link your Instagram account. And there's literally like a Instagram button underneath, like next to follow, that you can literally click through, and you can then convert a lot of your views and profile views that you get from, if you get a viral video, you can literally direct all of those people over to your Instagram account. And that's a great way of really jump starting Instagram to get that lift off the ground by using the reach that you can get on TikTok.
Excellent. Ordinarily, I'd probably keep going myself for a few minutes, but we've had quite a few questions from the attendees come through. So I'll move over to that. And just off the back of what you were saying about user demographic, Lauren. So I'll go to this question first from Kate, who asks, what is the age demographic on TikTok? Is it still younger, well, primarily younger people? I guess obviously your answer will be slightly skewed because it depends on the demographic of the businesses, fans and followers. But yeah, what's the demographic these days?
Do you know what? I think there's such a diverse audience on TikTok. Like, so many people will just have TikTok and nothing else. My fiance, he doesn't have any social media, but he will have TikTok. And I think it's because we've mentioned this already, but it's more lighthearted. It's not as serious as other platforms. So it's a form of escapism. So yeah, using TikTok is undoubtedly a great way to reach Gen Z, and businesses that have heavily relied on maybe Facebook and Instagram previously. You know, we must pivot to use TikTok and other emerging platforms, because the Gen Z audience just don't use these other platforms. Like, my teenage cousins don't have Facebook and rarely use Instagram, for example. But then also, like, on the other side to that, I think, like, going back to the lightheartedness, I've noticed the audience outside of Gen Z start to use TikTok a lot more as well. Like I mentioned, like, me and my friends will just send to each other. My dad will send me TikToks, and, you know, we're definitely not Gen Z. So basically what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of opportunity, and I think that the audience is vast and it's growing.
Excellent. Anything to add to that, Ali?
So the joy of TikTok is the For You page, which is, as everyone knows, like, it's especially kind of like the algorithm picks videos that it thinks that you're gonna like. And on the back end of that, the reason why videos will go viral is because it's shown to a handful of people first from a variety of demographic, different kinds of people. And depending on their engagement and how they respond to it, their watch time and other factors, it gets then shown to more people who fit that similar bill, which is then why if you look at your, for a viral video, if you look at your statistics, you'll suddenly have like one country that will be the majority that you'll get, because it's shown to more people from the similar demographic who've enjoyed that video. So I think it's important to see TikTok as kind of like young, kind of like Gen Z and keeping up with the times. But I don't think that you should rule out the fact that my 70-year-old godfather gets loads of like drilling and like DIY videos, and he's definitely not Gen Z, but the videos, that doesn't mean that you couldn't get a viral video that's still targeted at an older audience, because if it gets shown to an older audience member and they enjoy it, it's going to get shown to more people who fit that similar demographic. Okay,
excellent. One thing that I did want to ask, actually, so an anonymous attendee has said, do you recommend TikTok for a B2B company? And I was going to ask, is there a particular type of business or type of industry that works particularly well on the platform? Ali, I'll come to you.
I think that any business, as long as they are making content that fits in with the platform, will be successful on TikTok. I mean, Ryanair are an airline company, and they have 1 million followers. And they put goggle like eyes on planes, you know. Like I think literally it's about like Laura was saying, it's about the quality of the content, it's about what you're giving, not what the product is. Because if you can package that up in a nice TikTok looking package, then it's going to do well.
Yeah, I agree. We were actually in the office, we were talking yesterday about, you know, that TikTok, I don't know what it's called, but there's a TikTok account that just gives you like Excel hacks, and it's just like so good. I'm like,
it's so niche.
This is what I need.
So
exactly.
Niche.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, if you've got a niche, I almost think you're at an advantage, because, you know, there's so many fashion and styling accounts on TikTok, and like for us, like I think that's one of the reasons why our store content does so well, because it isn't just styling earrings and jewelry, it's talking about, you know, being tattooed and stuff. And I think it's hard to get cut through when there's so many of the same things. So if you have a niche, like Ali said, if it's a niche, but it's like the kind of like fit for TikTok type authentic, fun, light-hearted content, then it's going to do well.
Okay, excellent. Another one from an anonymous attendee who says, do you both, and I assume that they mean in terms of the businesses rather than your personal ones, do you both have business accounts for TikTok? I miss out on trending music by having one and think it could affect reach/engagement, yet I don't want to use copyrighted music at the same time. And I guess if either or of you could give a little context for that, just for anyone who isn't aware, isn't on the platform just yet, what the issue there is.
Yeah, so once you sign up as a business account, that obviously then limits your music, because as a business account, you're not allowed to use music that's copyrighted, which is a slight issue, especially with TikTok's creating trends, because a lot of TikToks use just audio tracks. But if the audio track is user generated and it's a user track, but it still features that music, then that's fine. That's kind of like the business account will still allow you to use that sound, but it can't be a song that's been uploaded by the artist that they've put onto the platform.
Okay, so does that mean I could be playing a song from my record player over here in the background?
Well, technically, if it gets picked up as copyrighted, then that would still be an issue. But if, for example, if it's like a remix, then it's a different track.
Right. Okay. And so so going back to the question, both the businesses, are they business accounts, and kind of how do you get around that issue?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm on the paid side of things. So personally, I am not involved in the content creation of TikTok, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to share information on that. But in terms of our paid strategy at the moment with TikTok is we look at what's performing organically, and then we will promote the top performing TikToks. So if there is music on there that potentially, if there's like going to be a copyright issue if we promote it, then we will just swap the track out for one within the music library, which is a shame, because you do, you know, one of the biggest pulls of TikTok is, the catchy songs that you just will scroll and you'll hear the same song like over and over. So if you've then got something that's not that recognizable, it's not ideal, but you still have the video and the original content there. So yeah, it still works well.
Okay. Another question comes from Katie. And obviously, we know that hashtags are a very big part of Twitter and Instagram in particular. They have asked, do you suggest using hashtags, and does it increase reach?
I don't have an opinion on this, actually. Sorry.
I don't particularly either. We don't tend to use hashtags I think on TikTok, yes, because I think that it helps the algorithm. I think if, for example, my 7-year-old godfather who likes DIY, if you hashtag DIY, it's more likely to get shown to him, because that's like you're literally like giving the algorithm your video on like a silver platter, saying this is a DIY video, please push it to people who enjoy DIY content. So I think that's good for kind of like flagging stuff for the algorithm. But on Instagram, I personally haven't noticed a huge difference with or without.
Yeah, especially recently with Instagram. I think maybe 4 years ago, hashtags would be really weighty and influence whether people are seeing. But now I don't think it really impacts.
Okay, interesting. I'm just trying to scroll through because there's still quite a few. Another one from an anonymous attendee. I'll just add a little bit to this question, or before this question. So we know that verification is obviously quite prevalent on other platforms. Is that the case on TikTok? Does it kind of carry the same weight as it does on others? But this person specifically asks how you get verified on TikTok.
Yeah, so I would say, it would carry the same way. I think if you're verified, you know, people can be confident that they're looking at content from that brand or that celebrity, that content creator. The way we got verified is we have an account manager, and we reached out to them directly, and it was fairly quick. But yeah, I think it was quite straightforward. So if you haven't got an account manager, potentially just fill out the form on TikTok.
Okay, excellent. We've probably got time for a couple more. Devon asks about best time to post. Is there a particular time of day, and I guess certain days or frequency that is best for posting on the platform?
There might be for some people, but generally TikTok say that if the content's good, it will get pushed anyway, no matter what time you post it. That's kind of TikTok's. The last I heard from TikTok, that was their standpoint on it.
Okay, that's really interesting as well.
I think actually on Instagram, yes, but on TikTok, like I say, I think if the content's good, it gets pushed up with them. But I think on Instagram, if you reach your peak time, it's gonna be more successful.
Okay, another question from Sam, who asks, if we're looking to create a social media team for a startup, where and how do we find young talent with the skills you're describing specifically for TikTok?
Yes, it's difficult because I feel like you want fairly young and hungry people, probably straight from university or at least a couple of years in, because they're the people on the platforms, because you want those like Ali mentioned, you want the creators and the people that are using it themselves. But it is difficult because so many people come out of university and want to have this job. So you post it on LinkedIn or something and you're like then flooded with say 200, 300 applications. So I think just looking out for points within the CV of, you know, like Ali, like being a creator, having that following, showing that they've grown it themselves, or maybe internships in something similar. But other than that, yeah, it's a difficult one.
I think it's a risky way of doing it, but I know it's what Donut Time have done, and they've actually sourced a creator from TikTok, and she's become their kind of like TikTok manager, which I think is interesting as well because you get the association. So people who already are a fan of her, they then see her on Donut Time's TikTok, and they're like, oh, okay, that's the girl who does the Tesco's videos. So I think I don't know, it's not the most conventional way of doing it, but that's something you could consider. If there's a creator that you really enjoy, that you think is really successful, then reaching out to them, it can't hurt to see if they're interested.
Yeah, I love to see that as well. Like, you know, when I always see on TikTok, you know, if someone's applied for a job and they're like, get me to 1 million likes, and then they'll notice and then they tag them, and it's like, I love to see that as well. Like, so if someone's applied and they're doing extra on TikTok or on Instagram, I think that's
or even asking, because for my job, once we did like the initial screening process, part of my second like task was to create a TikTok video kind of like about myself. So I used like the green screen filter and just talking through my life story, and it seemed to go quite well because they hired me. But I think maybe you could even look at doing almost like the process on TikTok. So saying like, make a TikTok and tag us in it, because then you also get some free advertising as well. And you can kind of go through them all and see which one resonates the most with you.
Excellent. I think that's probably all that we've got time for, other than one final question from me to wrap us up, and I'll come to both of you on it. So if you wanted today's audience to come away from the session with three key takeaways, what would they be? Ali, first, please.
So we spoke about it a lot. I did, especially having the creator mindset, either having a content creator or somebody who really, really understands TikTok, not just kind of like they watch it occasionally, but like they actively can make videos themselves, or they're consuming a lot of it. And then in terms of creating the videos themselves, recreating trends, not cross-posting from Instagram and Facebook, making videos that are especially made for that platform. And then, yeah, like Lauren's been saying a lot, like staying authentic and staying fun. That's the best way. The more informal you are, I think, on TikTok, the better. Yeah.
Excellent. Lauren, your three key takeaways.
Yeah, so quite similar. It's good that we're aligned, which is great. But yeah, number one, authenticity. Make sure that you are speaking to your audience like they're friend or like your family, and keep it lighthearted. I think number two, allocate that time to be reactive and really look at the trends and what's going on. Don't just go away into a studio and come up with it yourself. Like obviously, new ideas are great, and definitely that's something that you should push, but I think it's good to have trends as well, to encourage virality. And then, oh gosh, what's the third one? I think, yeah, similar to Ali, really, just making sure that you're creating TikTok specific content and not doing a one-size-fits-all approach for your social media strategy. And that's across all channels as well, to be honest. Excellent.
Well, yeah, thank you both so much for the past 45 minutes. As someone who has never logged on to TikTok, I certainly feel as if I've kind of come away with a better understanding of the platform, and I hope and I'm sure that a lot of the audience will do as well. So thank you so much for your knowledge and your insight. I know that Chloe has popped our LinkedIn profiles in the chat function. If anyone wants to follow up, connect with you guys, ask some more questions. I'm sure they won't be coming to me for those questions, but yeah, Ali, Lauren, thank you so much for your time. And with that, I'll pass you back to Chloe.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lauren and Ali, for sharing your expertise and knowledge and joining us today. It's been great to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
No problem. We'll be back next week at the same time with Small Business Commissioner Liz Barkley and founder of Mazuma, Lucy Cohen, as they discuss how small businesses can beat the late payment problem from larger businesses. If there is anything you'd like to catch up on from today's session, we'll be sending out a replay of this recording later on today, and you can find the replay and future sessions at www.lightbulb-sessions.haysummit.com. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you again, Lauren, Ali, and Jonathan.
Thank you.